Today in studio, it's all about celebrating Kenya. And the question we're asking is where we come from. The next question we're asking is where are we going to? And we're so happy to have with us in studio tonight Mugo Kibati, CEO of Vision 2030. Thank you, Mugo, for taking time from your Jamhuri Day celebrations to join us. An amazing year. New constitution, we've been looking for it for so long. But I'm asking you, as a young man, someone who's been in private sector, now heading Vision 2030, what do you think the gains are so far?
I think the gains so far are tremendous. I mean, today we have a lot to celebrate. The most obvious gain is finally, and as the President put in a long discussion of almost 20 years, we have a new constitution in place. Granted, there's a lot of work to be done in terms of the enabling legislation, and Kenyans have to participate in that process. It's a 5-year process, a lot of important pieces of legislation to take place over the next 2 years. But beyond that, I do believe that we have a new spirit in this country, a spirit that must be kept up. I think there's a new resolve to ensure that practices of the past, corruption, impunity, that's a big story of this week, remain things of the past, and we move into the future as a newly reborn nation, ready to grow economically, socially, and politically. And of course, talking about economically, you know, we had a terrible year in 2008 for obvious reasons, 1.6% GDP growth rate. Today, we're looking at 5.2, 5.4% this year. And we're determined to make sure that we continue keeping that pace over the next few years to ensure that we do attain Vision 2030's goals and objectives in the 20 years that we have.
Well, you know, a lot of people at the grassroots will say, look, we voted whichever way for this constitution, but we don't really still know what it means to us. Where is Kenya going, Mugo? And what do we as citizens of Kenya owe this country to take it forward?
Well, let me answer that in two ways. One, in terms of directly, over the next few months and years, a lot of civic education has to take place. And it will take place once there's a better understanding, in my view, of the framework, the structures and institutions that this country is going to have, the judicial system, the kind of devolution, the kind of counties and the structures therein. And that civic education is not just on the common wananchi, even to the so-called elites, the people in government and in the corporate sector, in parliament, who are yet to thoroughly understand this constitution. So that's number one. But I think more importantly, the constitution is a means to an end. We must remember that. People want better lives for themselves. They want better healthcare facilities, better education for their children and grandchildren. They want to have better infrastructure in this country. They want to have jobs available to them. They want to have accountable, transparent leadership in this country. And we must now get into the task of ensuring that under the framework of the new constitutional dispensation, we deliver on all those aspects of life.
Do you have, we say Vision 2030, what kind of a Kenya do you see? What are your hopes for Kenya? Say when we come to 2015, let's not look too far down the line. Well,
my hope for Kenya, and you're right to talk about 2015, because Vision 2030 stands the danger of becoming jargon. Because, and we must remember, when we say Vision 2030, what are we saying? We're talking about the kind of life that we shall all be leading and our offspring will be leading in the year 2030. For us to be able to achieve that goal of a prosperous life for all, of infrastructure pervasive all over the country, of a secure nation everywhere, no matter where you are, of a high quality of education, no matter where you are born, high access to healthcare facilities, no matter where you were born also, no matter which part of this country you live in, of a fair judicial system to all. For us to achieve that, we must begin now, and we cannot relent, and we have a lot of hard work to undertake today. That is why Vision 2030 has programs. It's a 20-year program, but has 5-year medium-term plans, and we cannot afford to delay any of them, because to achieve the GDP growth rate that we're looking at, the 10% that we're looking at, a lot of work has to be done. And that is the only way we can achieve the kind of employment and jobs to match the kind of population growth that we're having. And in order to have that kind of vision, that kind of country that is modern, that is orderly and organized in terms of the infrastructure, the institutions, we must have the educational system to prepare our people for that. So by 2015, which is a year you pick, we must be able to stop, look back and say, for the last 5 years, our judiciary has improved. You know, the Constitution takes care tremendously of that in terms of vetting all judges, putting up a new Judicial Service Commission, a new Supreme Court.
Building respect for the rule of law.
Exactly. We must be able to have counties that are thriving and truly independent and are actually attracting investments therein, and therefore have the kind of leadership in terms of their governors and their senators and their county assemblies and county executive committees will be chaired by the governors that understand, for instance, every county, whether it be Mandera County, Kilifi, Kiambu, Kisumu County, Busia County, what is our GDP? We must understand. Today we say Kenya's GDP is $30 billion. What is Kisumu's GDP? Can your governor tell you that? What is Kisumu's or Busia's GDP growth rate? Which particular industry are we going to pick as a driver for Busia? Or if it's Bungoma, where we have pan paper, is the paper sector going to be the growth sector for Bungoma? That must be deliberately arrived at. And the kind of leadership that people must elect in the future must be the kind of leadership that is able to think through this kind of issues and develop initiatives and strategies to undertake or to develop their counties and be accountable. The political pillar of Vision 2030 says we want an issue-based, accountable, results-oriented democracy. And issue-based is very important. In other words, we're going to be having a parliament with greater oversight and power over the executive, which is great. But that oversight should be based on issues, not on personalities.
Right.
And if indeed, by looking at an issue, you end up at a personality who has to step aside, so be it. But the focus must be on issues. This must be both at the national level, but also at the county level, where the president was so focused on today.
Well, you know, it's a whole mindset change, and the challenge is with us to start that change. Thank you so much, Mugo, for coming in. The question perhaps that I would have tonight is, are you ready for this new Kenya? Are you up to choosing people who can do the job? They need to be extremely capable to take your county forward and to take this country forward as a whole. So thank you so much for being with us.